before we start, I just wanted to check with Peter Paul. When did Honorable Singh say he will be joining? Is it a question of a few minutes waiting for him? Because if they
I am trying to get hold of him now. Just a few seconds, and I'll report.
Can you, Honorable Peters, you want us to wait until we get? Yes, come, Honorable Dipuo, I'm going to come back to you. Just want to ask from Honorable Peters, do you suggest that we should wait for Honorable Singh, Honorable Peters?
No, Honorable Chair, that's why I was asking, how long did you say? Is it a question of a few minutes, or for instance, as we were talking about somebody who's still flying? So I just wanted to get that idea. I was going to say if it's a few minutes, we could wait, but obviously if it's more, let's start. That was going to be my proposition. Yes, Honorable Chair.
Okay, thanks, Honorable Peters. Honorable Peters.
Chairperson, on the group chat, I'm not on the group chat, on the group email to Peter Paul, Honorable Singh did indicate that he will log in a bit late. So I don't think we should wait for him, because already I treated that as an apology to say he will come late to the meeting.
Thank you, Honorable Dipuo. Are we still correcting, even if we don't going to wait for Honorable Singh, Mr. Peter Paul?
Chair, absolutely. I'm sorry I missed that information. Thank you, Honorable Peters. I think based on that, I think the only other member that I do not see here is the Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Honorable.
Perhaps, Chair, she may have communicated with you or any of the other members. But other than those, like I said, Honorable Mentor did report that she will be flying at this time and will log on as soon as she has landed, and did send to us information on her preferred candidates, which I forwarded to you. So with Mr. Singh and Ms. Mente, the only other member I do not see here is Deputy Chief Whip. Otherwise, we already have the forum to start with the meeting, Chair. Thank you. Mr. Singh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Paul. That makes us okay insofar as the quorum is concerned. Indeed, let me officially start the meeting so that we can communicate those apologies formally. Can we do that, honorable members? Can I proceed? Thank you so much. The problem, I can see Honorable Buthelezi, so when he knows I can see, then I take for granted that we all agree. Thank you so much. He looked very, very smart, Honorable Buthelezi. Honorable members, can I take this opportunity to open this meeting formally? Welcome all the members of this ad hoc committee. Good that we have met once again, and this time we're meeting to conclude our business. I really want to welcome members and to say I'm very proud to have been able to be part of this collective where we were doing things very smooth and thorough. The best thing that has happened within this committee is that nothing negative has been reported about us or our deliberations. Forever, everybody has been very, very constructive and positive. And to date, we have not received any negative utterances by anyone. I think it means we've done our work diligently. I really would want to thank honorable members with that kind of a conduct. I will recommend all of you to the Chief Whip and to the Speaker whenever they need an ad hoc committee to carry on such important task. I can see Honorable Buthelezi is not nodding on the negative. However, that's how I feel. That's how good you were, honorable members. Thank you so much. Our meeting is now open officially. And as we have opened our meeting officially, can we then take apologies? And my first apology that I have is the Deputy Chief Whip, who is not so well. Remember, she has just lost her better half, which is something very difficult, and she's not so well in dealing with the matter, and she will not be part of this meeting for that reason. I guess all our prayers should be really with her so that she gets well soon under the circumstances. That is the Deputy Chief Whip. The second apology is Honorable Mende, whom we all know that she's traveling and she will join us immediately she's settled. The third one is Honorable Singh, who will join us anytime from now once he is ready to do so. Those are the three apologies that I've received. I'll then give Honorable Mr. Peter Paul to give us more if there are any. Mr. Peter Paul?
Thank you, Chairperson. Now, Chair, you said it very well. Those are the three apologies we have at this moment. I have just spoken to Mr. Singh, who says that he will be joining the meeting in about 10 to 20 minutes. He just has some challenges that he's trying to resolve. But he says he's comfortable with the process and is happy to have the committee continue with the deliberations, and then he will make his contributions as soon as he joins the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Paul. I guess, members, the agenda of the meeting is in front of all of us. Can we then start with the next item? Can you please lead us, Mr. Peter Paul, with the first item of the agenda? Mr. Peter Paul?
Yeah, I'm here, Chair. Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Chair, I think it is just to sort of emphasize our last communication, and perhaps, Chair, maybe I can take the opportunity to say to members the proposal as we had communicated in our last deliberations, just to take it from the top, that we, this date...
Honorable Chair?
Yes, Honorable, a minute, Mr. Peter Paul, over to you, Honorable Buthelezi.
Sorry, Peter Paul. Can we see the whole agenda first and then perhaps agree on the agenda and then allow Peter Paul to take us through the next agenda item? It's not appearing on the screen, Honorable.
Okay. Our apologies, Honorable Buthelezi and honorable members. Mr. Peter Paul, can you please flag our agenda, please?
Chair, I hope that is coming through on the screen. Chairperson?
Still awaiting. It has not shown itself yet.
We're having a screen with your documents, but the agenda is not open.
Okay. I've opened it on my side, Honorable Telezi. I'm just wondering if anything is showing.
Not yet.
Nothing is showing yet, sir.
certainly opened it on my side, and it says I'm sharing on the screen.
No, we can't access it yet. Yeah. You're coming closer.
Yes.
The agenda is not yet. No, it's just showing the notice for now, but
yes,
not the.
I wanted to speak to that, Chair, if you'll allow me, because I wanted to break this into two parts, based on our deliberations at the last meeting, Chair. To say that the primary purpose of this first session, as we communicated on the email to members, was that we are going to start with the final deliberations on the appointment of the Auditor-General. But Chair, to say that how the day will look like is that this is going to be the first session, after which then members will deliberate and give us a recommendation on the candidates that we're going to recommend to the National Assembly through the report of the committee. And then we are then going to break, Chair, whenever we are done. As you correctly said, that members had given us the task to go and seek permission from the House Chairperson and the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, to be able to meet from this time and beyond 1400 hours if necessary. And we do think that that will be indeed necessary. We are going to end this first part of the final deliberations of the session. And then, as we said in the email, we are then going to break, where we are going to then finalize the documents, because, Chair, you remember, the committee had expressed its wish to ensure that the process is finalized today, including the adoption of its documents. That is the reports that will be going to the ATC and referred to the National Assembly, and then the minutes that are outstanding, so that we have all our documents adopted and official from this point onwards. So, Chair, this first session, is going to take however long it takes, but it's going to be the deliberations first, with the outcome of that being the committee being able to agree on a recommendation for recommendation to the National Assembly of that one candidate that you feel should be appointed. Chair, that is how we propose that the day looks like.
Thank you very much. So it therefore means that our next item in the agenda is going to be the calling upon members to present their preference according to the way they would have put it. Then the next thing will be the deliberations. And then we'll then adjourn for you to do the administrative work. Then we'll reconvene again for us to conclude and make the necessary recommendation. Is that what you are saying, Mr. Peter Paul?
Yes, Chair. That is true. Chair, you remember that I think at this stage, you might want to find out from members, because ours, as communicated in that last communique, was a simple proposal on how perhaps best we can proceed from now on, because we're saying that members have their notes from the interviews, and we're simply suggesting that each member be allowed to present their top 3 candidates, and they will tell us why those are their top 3 based on those domains that we spoke of. I think it was the leadership domain, it was strategy and technical, and it was the behavioral domain, under which the questions that were used to assess the candidates were done on the 20th of August. And then after that, you will then have the general discussions. Chair will be guided by yourselves. But the outcome that we want to have indeed is where the committee will be able to then come to a recommendation of that one name in whatever manner they use at the end. So, Chair, I think that is what we'll put before the members. but it's a process of the members, and they can add or come up with any other means by which they think we can reach that outcome. I'm handing it back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Peter Paul. Honorable members, that is the suggestion. Of course, Honorable Muteles was just asking an agenda. How does it flow? How is it going to flow? Now we are getting the total picture of what we are suggesting to happen for today, so that we achieve the targets that we want to achieve. I would put now to the honorable members to say whether you agree with how we have outlined this agenda and the reasons thereof. Now I'm giving over to you, Chair. Honorable members, not just in adoption of the agenda, but it's also how best we can make sure that we conclude today's work. I'm giving over to Honorable Buthelezi and all other honorable members who want to say something on this proposal. Over to you, honorable members.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Peter Paul. I think the process is too much round-winded. I think basically, Honorable Chair, what we are meeting today is to come with a candidate, one candidate that we are going to propose that we are going to recommend to National Assembly. That's the main purpose. That's why we're here. So for me, I would say, because we're not going to recommend 3 candidates, I think I would say let's allow our members to recommend their preferred candidate, and then let's take it from there. I don't think we need to go to 1 to 2 and 3. In any case, 2 and 3, what are we going to do with 2 and 3? Because we'll be recommending only one candidate there. So, Honorable Chair, I think if we could just do that in this session, and then agree and decide on that candidate, and then if we agree on a particular candidate, then we allow the team to deal and prepare the report, which they'll bring back to us after the break, and then we then look at the report. So briefly, Honorable Chair, all what I'm saying is that let's focus. Let's say which candidate are we looking for, and then allow honorable members to come up with their preferred candidates. I think that would be my recommendation, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Buthelezi. Is there another hand?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, can Honorable Somyo speak, please? You are welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon to honorable members and staff here. I would support what Honorable Buthelezi is proposing, that if indeed we are to make a recommendation for one proposed candidate, why do we have to via? You see, to move all the way right through and ring, rather than getting into where it all fell a corner and present those matters. That's in support of what Honorable Buthelezi is saying.
Oh, thank you very much, Honorable Somyo. Honorable members, that's how we feel as the committee. Are we all together in that?
Chair, I see the hand of Honorable de Villiers.
Yes, Honorable de Villiers, can you please take the platform, please?
Good morning, honourable members and chairperson. I would just like to support Honourable Buthelezi's proposal. I think if we can reach consensus on one candidate, then that is good enough. So I would like to support his proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable de Villiers. I think we all concur to Honourable Buthelezi's proposal. Can we then move on to what we have just discussed and agreed, honourable members? Can I get to hear, honourable members, can you please raise your hand in doing what we have exactly proposed as how we must go about in identification of our candidate? I am awaiting from yourselves, honourable members, for you to raise your hands or indicate whether by word of mouth or...
I've raised my hand, Honorable Chair, on the platform.
Honorable Buthelez's hand is up. Any other honorable member? Honorable members? Honorable member Buthelez's hand is up. Any other honorable member that would want to contribute and suggest?
I see Honorable Morolong and Honorable Vessels.
Honorable Morolong, Honorable Vessels.
Somyo.
Honorable Somyo. In
conditional appreciation, because as much as the Fusion Center has certainly...
Can we all mute our... We have Honorable Buthelezi, Honorable Morolong, Honorable Vessels, Honorable Somyo. In that order, please, honorable members. Over to you, Honorable Buthelezi.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. Good afternoon, honorable members. Again, ladies and gentlemen, fellow South Africans. Indeed, this has been quite a road to traverse. At least, Honorable Chair, we are nearing the end. Chair, I will only talk about a candidate who I think was the best of the best. A candidate I will humbly submit ticks all the boxes that we're looking for. A candidate which I think qualifies to be the Auditor-General of South Africa. Perhaps before I even do that, Chair, let me start by saying we're very good and professional candidates who presented themselves very well, and South Africa should be proud about the caliber of candidates that presented themselves to be interviewed by this Hoc Committee. As you know, Honorable Chair, our interviews covered a variety of areas, including but not limited to the understanding of the Auditor General's responsibility as far as the supreme law of our country, the Constitution, is concerned. The understanding of the Public Audit Act, the understanding of the Public Finance Management Act, and many other relevant legislations. It also covered the leadership qualities. A lot of questions were asked around this. The committee was very strong on the independence of the Auditor General and his or her office. The understanding of the stakeholders of that office, the understanding of the transformation agenda of our country, and most importantly, the requisite skills, experience, and qualifications. After all that, Honorable Chair, the Hoc Committee decided in its own wisdom that it must wait for the state security clearance before it makes its final decision. We have been informed by the supporting staff that all the candidates who presented themselves were found to be fit and proper to occupy that office. This just talks again to the quality of the candidates who presented themselves. Before I pronounce on the candidate that I would like to recommend to the honorable members that we take to the National Assembly, I think I was more than impressed about the intensity and the quality of the questions which this Hoc Committee posed to the candidates. But even more important, about the professionalism with which the candidates responded to the questions that we put to them. But one of the many of the things that we said up front is that we wanted this process to be as transparent as possible. Not just be transparent, allow the people of South Africa to comment on the candidates that had been shortlisted. And indeed, Honorable Chair, the people of South Africa did that. The issues that were raised about some of the candidates who presented themselves or who were interviewed were put to the candidates. And the candidates appreciated us asking them those questions because they wanted to put everything into perspective. Good as those responses were, we didn't end there. We said the state security agencies should continue and look at some of those things. That's why today we're having this report which says all of these candidates are fit and proper to occupy the position of Auditor-General of South Africa. I'm therefore, Honorable Chair, proposing that this ad hoc committee accept that Ms. Tsakani Maluleke was the best of the candidates that we interviewed. I so submit, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Buthelezi. Honorable Murolong.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Let me first and foremost thank you very much for successfully steering the ship. It was indeed a great honor and a privilege to serve under your leadership. And I must say that it is under your leadership that this process has been so credible. And I also wish to thank fellow lawmakers who have been so professional in discharging their responsibility. This is the first ad hoc committee that I've had the privilege of serving in as a member of parliament. And I must say that I'm impressed by, or was particularly impressed by the experience and the leadership that was displayed throughout the process. But more importantly, the credibility of this process. It will go a long way, you know, in defining how processes of this nature must be conducted. I also wish to extend, and I'm sure I'm doing it on behalf of all of us, our appreciation to all the candidates who participated in this process. It was quite a robust engagement, and I must say that I am also thankful. We are marveled by the questions and from ordinary members and the responses, the quality of responses which we got from the candidates who had applied and shortlisted and ultimately participated in the process of the interviews. I also am quite impressed with Ms. Tsakani Maluleke. I think she distinguished herself quite diligently in her responses, and she has been able to demonstrate her fitness to hold this office. So I also concur with the sentiments expressed by Honorable Buthelezi and wish to strongly recommend Ms. Tsakani for this Maluleke for this position. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Murelong. We'll get to hear from Honorable Vessels. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, I want to add my voice to the colleagues who also thanked you for the way in which you chaired this committee. And I also want to thank the support staff. I do think that this was a credible and a transparent process, and which was very necessary for filling the very important office of the Auditor-General. It's one of the most important institutions in our country, especially currently, and that is why this process was so important. Chairperson, I think we had very strong candidates, and the shortlist was also very good in terms thereof, that we really had depth in the candidates that did appear in front of us and participated and came for the interviews. My own scores were very close. There's really a very few difference, or not a lot of difference between a lot of the candidates in general. But I also want to add my voice that Ms. Moluleki was definitely, in my view, the most suitable candidate for the office of the Auditor-General. And I also wish to support her as the candidate that we recommend to appoint in that office. That being said, there's other candidates that also really looked good and would also be able to do that job, most probably. But I think in terms of the outcome of the score, my own score, and in terms of the suitability, the experience that Ms. Moluleki also has, and in her position currently, where she has already proven herself that she is the right person for the job, I would also like to support her appointment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vessels. Can we hear Honorable Somio now? Honorable Somio, over to you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. To anchor the views of my colleagues on the actual process, which itself was a very meticulous process, which has somewhat enabled us to get into actual quality of candidature for this position of the Auditor-General, something which we must appreciate, because any process is a guarantor of an outcome based on how that process has prevailed. And in this instance, we have shown the maturity of those who have been involved in these interviews, the actual progress in as far as matters that are key for the country to achieve maximum accountability, and ensuring that the resources of the country are somewhat used prudently, and in the sense that we had to instill and as well reject the fact that whoever occupies that office would be an independent mind who cannot be influenced by any tendency or body in the actual performance of his or her duties. And in that way, we are guaranteed indeed that in the name of Ms. Maluleke, the candidature of a person who fully understands, who fully knows, who somewhat well commits on the actual work of how the Auditor-General's office ought to be looked into. So I really support my colleagues as part of this interview that indeed our choice has been above shoulders and the head of anybody else in these interviews. We only hope that through our meticulous outlook in terms of areas of pre-vetting, we'll be making a presentation to Parliament of a candidate who would somewhat pass the test going forward in terms of the proposition. Indeed, Chair, we must be indicative of the fact that we appreciate that you coordinated, convened, led us into this kind of a process. One is really thankful into that regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Somio. Can I have any other hand, honorable members?
Chair, I see the hand of Mr. de Villiers is up.
Mr. de Villiers' hand is up. Any other hand, honorable members? Okay, whilst we are waiting, can we allow Honorable de Villiers to come back again?
Thank you,
Honorable
Chair.
de Villiers.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd just like to add that it's been a great honor and a privilege to be part of the selection committee. I would like to agree that all the candidates were impressive and very professional, and I would like to thank them as well for putting themselves forward as candidates for this important position. Chair, I would just like to note that it is my opinion and also the opinion of my colleague Eleanor that the interview, or Honourable Bospish, that the interview process of all the candidates was fair and that it was transparent and above any suspicion. And I would like to acknowledge my honourable colleagues, the honourable members that are part of this committee for their contribution. Chair, I would also like to compliment yourself on your efficient chairing of this important committee, and it was really a pleasure to work with you. And it just therefore gives me great pleasure to concur with all the recommendations of my colleagues made thus far and support Ms. Tsakani Maluleke for the appointment as the new Auditor-General of South Africa. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable de Villiers. I'm really humbled, honorable members, with your comments. Is there any other hand?
Chair, Mr. Singh has now joined us, and I think he's ready to contribute.
Thank you so much. Over to you. You are welcome first, Mr. Honorable Singh, and you are giving a platform for you to speak on your preference insofar as candidates are concerned. Can I give over to Honorable Singh to speak, please? Honorable Singh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I apologize for joining late. I was at a memorial service of a friend, and when I want to connect up there, I realized that I didn't carry my router with me, so I had to rush back to my office. But I'm very glad that I've joined you, and from what I heard from our colleague, Honorable de Villiers, it seems that you are moving towards the end of the meeting, and I'm very happy about that. But having received, I greet all my colleagues that are there. Having received the brief from Mr. Peter Paul earlier on, I've been looking through at my notes that I've written, and he wanted us to perhaps rank the candidates in 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1. But may I also echo what Honorable de Villiers said, and I suppose all colleagues, that we need to thank all those that avail themselves for the position. And also we regret that some had to withdraw on their own volition, but I think the committee acknowledges the reasons that they withdrew. And we also acknowledge that, well, from the IFP side, that Ms. Tsakani Maluleke had also provided us answers to certain questions, which we thought were very, very important for her to answer. So normally in a contest, they say in no particular order, but this time, Shenge, I'll have to give an order of which order, because we're talking about orders and preferences here. My candidate number 3, I don't know if others have done it that way, but my candidate number 3, who I thought did well, but all the candidates did well, was
Chairperson.
If I may, it's just that I did not take Honorable Singh through on how we are going to approach this matter. I'm sorry about that, Honorable Singh. My apologies. We have just agreed as the committee that we'll just give our one and only candidate that we think we must agree on, and as the committee. And it's no longer a secret that all honorable members are recommending Ms. Tsakani. And that was it, Honorable Singh. Thank you very much. I see their hands. Before I give over back to Honorable Singh, can I allow our members who had their hands up to speak, please? My apologies, Honorable Singh, for this.
No problem, ma'am.
Honorable members, is there anybody who would want to speak before Honorable Singh concludes?
No, Chairperson. I had earlier interrupted because I had wanted to request you to engage Honorable Singh about what the meeting has decided on the process itself. So I'm glad that you provided that leadership.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you so much, Honorable Murolong. Over to you, Honorable Singh. Once again, my apologies for not taking you through earlier, but please proceed, Honorable Singh.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. It's just that I worked from the last brief. But if we're looking for one candidate, then for me, the one candidate that stands out because of experience, ability to answer questions, leading by example, and just being capable all round to fill that position will be Ms. Sakani Maluleka. And as you said, the other colleagues have also recommended her, and I have also pleasure from the side of the IFP in recommending her as the preferred candidate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Singh. Any other hand, Honorable members?
Chairperson.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairperson.
That's Honorable Dipuo Peters.
Yes, Chairperson.
Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Peters.
I'm just praying that my system hold on, because I did indicate that it is fluctuating. But thank you very much, Chairperson, for the opportunity. I would also want to take this opportunity, joining honorable members of the ad hoc committee, in really congratulating you, Chairperson, and complimenting you for the work that you did. You know, there's a saying that says, the fish rots from the head. Your ability to steer us and drive this particular process has actually led to what we can say today was a credible process and a very good, I would want to say, for a lack of a better word, comradely spirit that you created amongst the members of this committee. But I also want to say that members of the committee themselves carried themselves quite very well and ensured that the work was done, even if we had to do part of the work hybrid. But I would want to say that there has never been any member that excused himself or herself from the proceedings of the committee for any other reason. And that in itself tells a lot about the credibility of the members of this committee in taking this particular important matter forward. But I also want to say, Chairperson, the ship that you steered and the membership that was working at different platforms and different processes, we, from the time of preparations for the advert itself, towards ensuring that it is an advert that we can safely associate ourselves on, but also the meticulous nature in which we went through the whole process, as well as the preparations for the interviews. Despite the fact that, again, the interviews were hybrid, it was managed well. There was never a glitch that led to the people who were on hybrid, on virtual platform, not being able to connect. Even under the threat of a possible load shedding, we managed to pull through the interviews in the stipulated times, even going beyond the call of duty right into the night. I would want to join members to say, yes, we had very credible, experienced, and competent professional candidates, and with leadership capabilities that showed that South Africa does have the necessary capability and skill in the auditing profession. And it is, for us, a very important indication. I also want to say the questions that were put, like ordinary members have indicated, to the candidates were good quality questions that actually allowed them to display and to prove to all, and including to South Africans, their own capabilities. But also the fact that we allow the public to participate in the process, and also, despite the fact that the public even emerged more commenting and motivating for their own preferred candidates, as opposed to just saying if the candidates are qualified or not. But also the fact that we now have a report from State Security that says all the candidates are appointable. That in itself tells you the caliber and the quality of candidates that this process has been able to churn out. So that in itself tells you, Chairperson, that the process is a credible process. The process is something that we can report to the National Assembly on and be able to stand with it, like Honorable Morelen said, that it's worth something that to belong to a committee of this nature that you can be associated with. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Secretariat for the work that they did in supporting the committee, as well as making sure that the process does not have glitches, the process does not have comebacks. For example, we have never had a situation where there were leaks or challenges with regard to particular matters of this committee. So the documentations that they prepared, the briefings that they prepared, as well as making sure that we could have interviews on hybrid as this particular committee. So I want to say, truly speaking, we have had a very good process, and I'm happy to indicate that the candidates, like I said, the professionality, the quality, as well as the caliber that we have sourced out, but also the ability of the candidates to market and sell themselves to South Africans through us. That in itself showed us that these are the type of people that we can be associated with. So I want to join my colleagues in indicating that in terms of my rankings and rating, Ms. Tsakane Maluleke came out tops, and I would recommend that she be considered for this position, especially in view of the fact that she's already having the necessary experience. That in itself is just a bonus for this committee, that we could have somebody that could then be able to steer the ship, especially in this particular challenges of the new normal, and where we have seen the ability of the Office of the Auditor-General to do an on-time auditing. So it means that the demands of the new normal would be something that she could carry on. And I'm happy to say I second those who have proposed her name. Thank you, Chairperson. And thank you, Chairperson, for your leadership. Continue being so sweet and driven. And members, I would miss you. Honorable Eleanor Spies, I'm sorry for what happened to you, but we really worked well together in this committee. I hope we can become members of another committee of this nature together one day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, honorable members, for your preference that is now unanimous. We are unanimously agreeing that Ms. Tsakane is the best candidate. I also agree with you, honorable members. 2, you are quite impressed and you are saying it with no fear of contradiction on how we've been able to steer the ship and be able to come to this conclusion today. It is because of yourselves, honorable members. My skills or my understanding was not going to be at its best in case there was anything different than what I experienced from yourselves individually and from you as the collective. Thank you very much. I am very humbled to have worked with the caliber of honorable members in yourselves. Thank you very much. We are agreeing that Ms. Tsakane is the best candidate. Therefore, we are going to allow our admin to make the necessary preparations. We also are saying we thank them, that is the admin staff, on the good work. We also thank them and honorable members for the fact that all this did not leak like all other committees sometimes, where you find things that are still under discussion, reflecting in the media houses, of course, in negative ways. This time around, we have kept all this to date. They are going to hear it for the first time as we have reflected in it for the first time. Thank you very much. And honorable members, I'm not sure whether we should still proceed on or adjourn, because we're saying earlier on, Honorable Singh, we'll have this discussion, then adjourn to allow the staff to go and prepare. And now we are coming up with one name, and all of us. I think we should proceed until we are finished, then allow them to go and prepare, and we'll reconvene quickly, even if it's 30 minutes, just to agree on all the framework that they would have put, so that we can adopt all that as our report. I hope Mr. Peter Pan is listening to me as I am putting this proposal a little bit different from what we agreed on earlier, because earlier on we weren't sure if we would come up with one candidate, of which that is now the case. Can I hear from honorable members whether we should then proceed, finish the entire agenda, because there were minutes that we needed to adopt, then we reconvene later, and the admin take us through on how they've put our report, then adopt all that, so that we can then go back to the house, those who need to go back to the house, or if it's before 2, we can just go and relax and see if we can join the house individually at that time. So I'm putting it to yourselves, honorable members, but can I ask first Mr. Peter Pan and his colleagues to speak first, whether this will be fine with them as they've prepared the actual logistics. Mr. Peter Pan?
Yes, Chair. I'm going to be quick in just confirming what you are saying, my Chair. I do see the hands of Honorable Telezi and Honorable Singh. I'm sure we'll come in just after I finish this. Chair, I think we are on the same page on that one. The proposal remains that we thank you for the guidance first on the name that you've given us. Certainly, it's going to now make our job easier in that we are going to then edit the reports that we'd already started working on, and add your deliberations of today and make sure that they form part of your report to the National Assembly. Chair, the request, as you've put it to us, I think indeed, after members are done with deliberating on this part of the process, our request, remember, was to then say, let us take that break, allow us to finish the report and today's minutes. I know that I already sent the other 2 minutes that will form part of the adoption process later. But it's just best that we do it all at once, all the documents once we are done. We will finish this part, and then we will send to members. Please watch out on your emails for the 2 documents that will be coming through. And then we will propose a time, but not too far from now, maybe just after 2. Depending on when we finish now, we'll be able to get back to you. But we must also afford you that bit of time to go through your report. So I will be sending a new link altogether for a new meeting and a new time. But it certainly won't take long from now, Chair. Thank you very much.
Chairperson.
Can please Honorable Singh speak?
Yes. Thank you. No, thank you very much for that report from Peter Paul. Perhaps we should suggest a time and give all of us some time of 5 o'clock or so that at least we can participate in the House, the condolence motions and things like that. And then at 5, we can consider the report. But also to say, Chairperson, that I think it would be important for the Secretariat for future reference to capture some of the issues, because some of them made very, very useful suggestions that will hold the office of the Auditor-General in good stead. So we must not lose that out, not for the committee, but I think we must share it whenever the new Auditor-General is appointed by the President. And then I suppose you did receive the apologies of Honorable Menta. She sent me a message, and I think you know what her preferences were. So that's the other thing. And I see that the debate has been scheduled. Well, the report has been scheduled for debate in the House on Tuesday next week. And I'm just thinking if things can be done before that and the report published tomorrow, I see no reason why after the Deputy President, we can't do it on Thursday. So we're done and dusted. But that's something left to the chairperson and the whippery. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you so much, Honorable Singh. Our apologies for not reading Honorable Mendes' proposal or suggestion. She did send an apology, and her apology was accepted. It's just that I was taken away with the unanimous agreement by honorable members. Can just before I call upon Mr. Honorable Buthelezi, can Mr. Peter Paul just read quickly the what Honorable Mendes sent to us as a preferred list? Mr. Peter Paul?
Yes, Chair. Thank you for that opportunity. I can confirm that we did receive, as Mr. Simpson, and I think Ms. Mente is joining the meeting now. I've just admitted her in. I wonder if it may not be worth asking her to do so herself. She has joined the meeting now. Chair, if perhaps we can just try to get her to come on board.
Let's allow her to come on board. I think we need that her input to be recorded. Can you? Is Honorable Mente ready to speak on her preferred list, please, honorable members?
Sorry, Chair. Equally, please tell her that we have said that instead of the three, and now she will just speak to her one preferred candidate for recommendation.
Honorable Mente, are you on the platform now? I just want to make sure, Mr. Peter Paul, whether she hears us. Honorable Mente, can you hear us? Well, if she can hear us, I don't think there's anything wrong for us to read as per her proposal. Are you in, Honorable Mente?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Honorable Mente, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Honorable Mente? Honorable Mente, can you hear us? Yes, Honorable Mente? If you can hear us, you are most welcome into the ad hoc committee meeting. We did receive your apology. It has been recorded. Thank you for having been able to log in before we conclude. We are in a stage now where we discuss and agreed as the committee that we'll request members just to give us their top candidate one and discuss out of that and have that recommendation made ready for us. If there's a need, we'll adjourn and come back and adopt. However, there are other suggestions that we have not concluded on. But on the preferred candidate, we agree that we'll need only one. And already, I don't think it's a secret anymore. The entire committee agreed on Ms. Tsakane's name as the only number one and the only candidate that must be put as our preference as the committee. We did receive your list, but we would want, now that you are part of the committee, we would want you to read your preference as part of this committee. Over to you, Honorable Mente. Honorable Mente? Mr. Peter Paul, it's like we still cannot get hold of, she's still having problems with logging in. Can you so long please read her preference list so that she can join us if she can, but you can't forever wait. I understand she has difficulties with the network. Can Mr. Peter Paul so long read Mr. Honorable Mendes' preferred list, please? Mr. Peter Paul?
Yes, Chair. Yeah, I think it's a matter of a connection problem. She is in the meeting, but it's probably the connection is weak, so we cannot hear her. Chair, as you've then directed, this was a message that was received from Ms. Mente, and which I then shared with the chairperson as well. And Chair, in keeping with the process of the meeting, then I can simply confirm that her number one candidate is Mr. Kane Maluleke as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Paul. I think that concludes now the actual identification of the best candidate insofar as the position is concerned. We heard all honorable members, and fortunately, we're still agreeing unanimously on Mr. Kane. Can we then proceed now with what was on the table? I guess Honorable Buthelez's hand was up after we've put the proposal on how we must proceed going forward. Can I give now Honorable Buthelezi? Over to you, Honorable Buthelezi.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Just to join my colleagues, the honorable members, in thanking you in your stewardship. But I also thought that we need to thank the communications team under Ms. Shelley, who were busy with all the communications, and the communications team, as you remember, with all these technical things, and they were running with that. I think we also need to thank them. Thank you very much, as people who made it possible for us to perform our work. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Buthelezi. Honorable members, this is how we agreeing to say, let the admin staff put our minutes so that we discuss and agree and finish with all that, then adjourn, allow them to complete the what we have just discussed and agreed, and we reconvene and be able now to agree, then proceed to the House when that time comes. Is that what we are agreeing on, honorable members?
No, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair.
Yes, Honorable Buthelezi.
Yes, Honorable Singh was proposing, Chair, that since there's this thing, perhaps if we were to agree, let's say at 5, we come back.
Okay.
And then we finish the work of the day, so that other members are able to participate in the National Assembly process. I think there was that proposition, and I didn't hear any opposition to it. And I support.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Buthelezi, for reminding me that.
Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Peters.
Over and above what Honorable Buthelezi has just indicated about the proposal from Honorable Singh, he went further to say that probably we could mandate the Secretariat and your good selves to engage with regard to the programming and see whether instead of next week, Tuesday, the matter could be considered on Thursday, if I'm right, Honorable Singh. I thought that's what I picked up from you. And I thought it's something worth supporting.
Correct,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Honorable Singh?
Yeah, she's correct. And I'm saying that mindful of the fact that I think we have Deputy President's questions on Thursday, but we have had occasions when we still have other items. And instead of leaving this to the media and everybody else over the weekend to make a meal of our recommendations, as we had said earlier on, if it can be done on Thursday, then why not? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Singh, by explanation.
Yeah.
Further giving more more facts on why we should really grab the opportunity if it presents itself and avoid all other negativities in the process. I think we'll do it just as we are seated here now. Is there any other honorable member who would want to say something?
I see Mr. Honorable Morolong's hand has been up for a while, Chair.
My apologies, Honorable Morolong. Can you please speak?
No, Chairperson, I agree with all the proposals made. In the first instance, I agree that we should fix time, and I agree with the proposal of 17 hours later today. I also agree that we will have to deal with all sets of minutes, including the report, all at once when we reconvene at 5. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Honorable Morolong. If we are agreeing on those proposals, honorable members, then this concludes now the business of now. We will reconvene at 5 to complete everything else. And at that time, Mr. Peter Paul would have indications from the leadership of the institution on the proposal that the members we are agreeing on. I think, thank you very much, honorable members, for the sterling job. Indeed, I wish I can be part of other committees where you'll be. It has been good to work with yourselves, your knowledge, your skills, your experience, your humbleness. Thank you so much. And in those few words, honorable members, let's adjourn from now until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you so much. Can I, as members are going to log out, Mr. Peter Paul, can we please speak? And thank you very much, honorable members. You are released.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you.